Hello everyone, this is a co-op Form 2 A and B lecture for November 20th. I'm not going to see you at co-op anyway for Latin class again until January 8th when we come back from winter break. So you have quite a while to complete this quiz and lesson, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the lecture now, and I'll leave it to your parents to decide when you actually do the work of learning this lesson material. Okay, before we go to today's lesson, one more thing. For Form 2A, we're doing lesson, let me confirm. Yeah, we're on lesson 8 this week. And Form 2B, you're on lesson 16 this week, which I believe, lesson 16 should still be a review for you all. So Form 2B, let me talk to you for just a moment, and then I'm going to leave it to you to study that lesson. If you have any questions, of course, email me, call me, we'll talk about them. But you're studying the first and second declension adjectives and adverbs, and the third declension adjectives and adverbs. The main thing to remember here is that the first and second declension adjectives, the us, ah, ones, they can change most of the time into an adverb, by changing the ending for a long E. Whereas the third declension tends to change the ending for iter, except in a few cases like facules, where it changes to facule. Okay, but I'll leave the rest of that to you all, and I'm going to go back to lesson 8 for you Form 2A students. Before I do lesson 8, let's review lesson 7, because we just started a new sort of thing. So we're doing pronouns, as we've been talking about for a couple weeks here. There are many kinds of pronouns. Some of the main facts about them is that pronouns take the place of a noun. Also, the word the pronoun refers to or takes the place of is called the antecedent. And there are 8 kinds of pronoun in Latin, and you can just memorize those names. You don't have to know all the concepts behind them right now, but if you memorize them, we'll get to their meanings. So the 8 kinds are personal and possessive, reflexive and intensive, relative and interrogative, and demonstrative and indefinite. In this unit, we're only studying the personal and possessive pronouns. So the first person pronoun is what we studied in lesson 7. So the first person pronoun is ego. Ego, mei, mihi, me, nos, and then the genitive plural goes nostri or nostrum, and then nobis, nos, nobis. And that's I, of me, to or for me, in, by, with, from me, and then the plural we, of us, to or for us, and then in, by, with, from us. Okay, so that's the first person regular pronoun. This isn't possessive, this is just a plain personal pronoun. And you'll notice that the declension is a little bit strange. It's not as regular as something like terra, where we have a consistent stem all the way across the board. So we change from ego in the singular to nos in the plural, having only one of the same letters, and it's not in the same place. So you really do have to memorize these personal pronouns, because they're not as easy to identify and remember as a first declension noun is. The genitive plural there, where it has nostri and nostrum, remember that actually both the singular and the plural of the genitive of the personal pronoun, these is not used to show possession. So normally we're used to most genitives being possessive genitives, but these are not. The personal pronouns do not have a possessive meaning in the genitive. Instead, they have something else like a partitive sense or a objective sense. And the partitive sense we've talked about refers to part of something. So that of expression in English is part of. That's not really a possessive. It's a sort of just a description of part of something. So we call that a partitive genitive. And then remember, the objective genitive is something like description. So king of the world, caput mundi. It's not saying that the king belongs to the world. Instead, it's saying, well, king, which kind of king is it? King over what? And that sort of answers that question. So that's the objective genitive. Nostri, the one ending in the I, is the objective genitive, and the nostrum is the partitive genitive. Okay, so that review having been done, let's turn to lesson 8, where we learn the second person personal pronoun. So the second person pronoun goes tu, tui, tibi, te, te. Vos, vestri, vestrum, vobis, vos, vobis. So again, you see sort of irregular. The singular doesn't look very much like the plural. And that's, again, characteristic of pronouns. Another thing you see is that vestri and vestrum is a lot like nostri and nostrum in the first person pronoun. And it has the same distinction. So vestri is the objective form, and vestrum is the partitive form of the genitive. So just like the English of the first person pronoun, the second person pronoun goes you, of you, to or for you, and then in, by, with, from you, and then the corresponding meanings in the plural. Okay, remember too, this note tells you first and second person pronouns have forms for number and case, but not for gender. So if I say the word I, it doesn't have a gender except by association with another word in the sentence. So if I say, I am Audrey, well then I know that I that's speaking is feminine, but the word I, the grammar word I, is not, doesn't have gender on its own. And same with you. When I say you, it just depends on who I'm talking to determine the gender. And so the you itself doesn't have gender. Okay, you have a list of new vocabulary on this page, and I'll make one comment about this vocabulary. It's all first declension, so all feminine. So the exceptional word here is the first one, philia. So philia means daughter, and it's the sort of corresponding term to filius in second declension, meaning son. And if you go through your declension of filius, we have filius, filii, filio, filium, filio, filii, filiorum, filiis, filios, filiis. Well, when we go to do philia in the same, or in the first declension, we go philia, filii, filii, filiam, filia, filii, filiarum, and then we want to say filiis. That would be the normal ending, but we can't really have that is ending matching for the masculine and the feminine, the son and the daughter, because then we have a situation where we can't distinguish if the sentence is saying sons, to or for the sons, or to or for the daughters, because the forms would match. So instead, as your note says at the bottom of the page, philia in the dative and ablative plural goes filiabus. Filiabus, which reminds you, if you're paying attention, of the third, fourth, and fifth declension endings ibus and ebus. But here it's iabus. All right, and that's just special to philia. It's not any other words except for there's one other word. Oh yeah, no, it's not in this list. But dea does the same thing. So deus is God, dea is goddess. So the dative and ablative plural of dea is going to be deabus. But we'll get to that later. It looks like it's not in this lesson. Okay, on page 29, I'm looking at the top of the page. The nominative of the personal pronoun is only used for emphasis or contrast, since usually the verb ending is sufficient to indicate the person. So we talked about this with the first person pronoun. So for their example is Mariam Amas or Mariam Amo. So Mariam Amo is I love Mary. If I wanted to emphasize the I part of it, I could say ego Mariam Amo. But that is redundant because Amo already says I. Amo itself is I love. So similar with Amas, I could say Mariam Amas, you love Mary. Or I could say to Mariam Amas, you love Mary. And the only reason to include the personal pronoun in that instance, in that situation, is for emphasis. So emphasizing the you or the I, or for contrast. So I could say, Mariam Amo said to non-Mariam Amo. That would mean, I love Mary, but you do not love Mary. And there I'm emphasizing you in a sort of accusatory tone. So anyway, that's the only reason to use ego or to in the nominative with the verb there. All right, that is all. If you are watching this in class on Friday, you can now turn to your workbooks and get started. Evelyn and Molly, if they have any questions, please help them. And if you have any questions for me, please call me and I will answer them. All right. God bless you. I will see you at church.